falsified skull size argument. Lubenow and Bones of Contention. In seeking to establish the concept of human evolution, the evolutionist leans heavily on skull morphology and to a lesser degree in recent years on skull size. Both are spurious arguments and prove nothing. Typical of the charts and illustrations used by evolutionists in it is a display at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City until the 1990s. It is titled Increasing Brain Size and shows an increase in brain size as follows. Homo sapiens, 1450 CC. Neandertal, 1625, which is an increase from an ancestor. What happened to evolution there? Pithecanthropus, Homo erectus, 914 CC. Australopithecine, 650 CC. Gorilla, 543. Chimpanzee, 400. Gibbon, 97. The obvious question is, what is the purpose of this display, or what does this display show? The obvious answer, since it is a part of the museum's display on the evolution of man, is to show that the hominid brain has enlarged by evolution over time. Well, no evolutionist in the world, however, past or present, believes that it happened in the way the chart implies it did. At least they say that. No evolutionist believes that the evolution went from gibbon to chimpanzee to gorilla to the Australopithecines to Homo erectus to Neandertal and then to modern humans, although they imply it all the time. How many times have I been in the classroom or the lecture hall and heard the speaker attempt to allay the fears of the uninitiated by assuring them that evolutionists do not believe that we came from monkeys or apes? But they say we have common ancestors, so we came from monkeys and apes. I mean, they assure us that we came from some transitional form that was the ancestor of both humans and living primates. The fact that this transitional form, if it ever existed, which we've never found yet, would readily be called an ape by anyone who saw it was admitted by the famous evolutionist George Gaylord Simpson. The museum displays an absurd mixing of past and present forms having no relationship to what evolutionists themselves teach. It is a cheap form of propaganda, Madison Avenue style, to convince the uninformed public of the truth of evolution. Although the chart was still in the American Museum as of 1991, that type of illustration is not seen as much in recent years. We now know that relative brain size means very little. The relationship between brain size and body size must be factored in, and the crucial element is not brain size, but brain organization. A large gorilla brain is no closer to the human condition than is a small gorilla brain. The human brain varies in size from about 700 cc to about 2200 cc, with no differences in ability or intelligence. That variation, more than a factor of 3, is an incredible difference in size variation, but indicates no difference in quality, so it indicates that evolution didn't occur. Those brain size charts are meaningless, yet the idea of increasing brain size has been injected into the human thought stream so effectively by evolutionists that most non-specialists still think of it as significant evidence for evolution. Those charts that look so impressive that some evolutionists cannot resist the temptation to continue to use them. The fact that the archaic Homo sapiens fossils had a brain size intermediate between Homo erectus and Neanderthal has no significance. The fossil record as seen by the charts in this book shows that these individuals lived side by side with fossil individuals in other categories as members of the human family. So much for evolution. The falsified skull morphology argument. Rhodesian man was so named because he was found in 1921 in what was then known as northern Rhodesia, now Zambia. Because the brow ridges on this fossil skull are more pronounced than those found on any other human fossil, no human fossil appears to be more primitive, savage, or ape-like than does Rhodesian man. Yet his brain size of 1280 cc is so large that the fossil demands to be classified as Homo sapiens. We need to be constantly reminded that there is nothing in the contours of the skull of an individual that gives clues as to his degrees degree of civilization, culture, or morality or intelligence. An indication that Rhodesian man is not a unique individual is seen by the fact that the South Africa skull, known also as Hopefield or a Lansfortine skull, has almost the same savage morphology. Although this fossil is considered to be older than Rhodesian man, there is no question that it is also truly human. Rhodesian man has been dated at about 40,000 years ago. Richard Klein gives the newer date as between 200 and 400,000 years ago. They just throw these dates around. That's 100% increase. No, 1,000% increase. Wow. Richard Klein, Human Career, Human Biological and Cultural Origins. All these guys are well published, well respected. Yet there is reason to believe that the fossil is actually quite recent in age. The original 1921 report in Nature, telling of its discovery, says, the skull is in a remarkably fresh state of preservation, the bone having merely lost its animal matter and not having been in the least mineralized. Author Smith Woodward, New Caveman from Rhodesia, Nature magazine. It is difficult to understand why a fossil buried for 200 to 400,000 years, or even just 40,000 years, would have no mineralization whatsoever. The fact suggests that the fossil could be quite recent in age in spite of its savage appearance. So much for age dating methods. Perhaps the most remarkable feature of this fossil is that it was found about 60 feet underground at the far end of a shaft in a lead and zinc mine. Michael H. Day, Guide to Fossil Man. The skull was found with the remains of 2 or possibly 3 other individuals. The maxilla, the upper jaw, of one of those other individuals is considerably more modern in morphology than is Rhodesian man, indicating a large degree of genetic variation within this small group. The associated postcranial bones are very modern in appearance. Found under other circumstances, Rhodesian man, with his low cranial doming and very heavy brow ridges could serve as an excellent illustration of an evolutionary transitional form between apes and humans. The original Nature report states its large and heavy face is even more simian ape-like in appearance than that of Neanderthal man. What are they saying? Yet this individual was either mining lead and zinc himself, or was in the mine shaft at a time when lead and zinc were being mined by other humans. This smacks of a rather high degree of civilization and technology. It is amusing that many evolutionists, when reporting on the details of Rhodesian man, say that he was found in a cave. Technically, I suppose they are right. A mine shaft is just a cave of sorts, in the same way that diamonds and emeralds are just pebbles. One wonders if this is a crude attempt to minimize the technical abilities of ancient humans. The book of Genesis clearly confines the advanced culture and technology of the ancients, specifically mentioned metallurgy in Genesis 4:22 and music in 4:21. In spite of the obvious lesson to be learned from Rhodesian and Saldanha skulls, evolutionists continue to base much of their evidence for human evolution on the alleged primitive to advanced contours of fossil skulls. Creationists maintain that in light of the evidence of the wide genetic diversity in the human family, skull contour is an inadequate basis determining relationships. Evolutionists' illegitimate children, the archaic Homo sapiens fossils, give eloquent testimony to that fact. Conclusion. Lubenow. An evolutionist would claim that in an evolutionary continuum we would expect to have a number of fossils on the line, since the transition points of the various species are arbitrary because of the nature of the evolutionary process. If evolution were true, that would be the case. However, there is another, more satisfying way in which to interpret the data, a morphological continuum that includes just one species of humans, called Homo sapiens. The fact that the data can be explained in at least 2 ways shows that the evolutionist is far from proving his case. That he never considers the other arrangement shows that he is far from impartial. There is a way, however, by which we can discriminate between the 2 possible explanations of the data and thereby determine which is the more likely to be correct. That is to place all of the relevant fossil material on a time chart. according to the probable dates for each of the fossil individuals, and to evaluate the results as to whether the evidence favors an evolutionary or a morphological continuum. When this is done, as it is done in this book, the evidence is strongly in favor of a morphological continuum, both horizontally across species and vertically over time. The horizontal continuum shows that anatomically modern human Homo sapiens, Neandertal, archaic Homo sapiens, and Homo erectus all lived as contemporaries over extended periods of time. So much for evolution. The vertical continuum shows that as far back as the human fossil record goes, the human body has remained substantially the same and has not evolved from something else. The big picture. Up to this point, we've been painting with a broad brush. We have been concerned with the big picture. The facts of the big picture are that, first, fossils that are indistinguishable from modern humans can be traced all the way back to 4.5 million years, according to the evolution timescale. That suggests that true humans were on the scene before Australopithecines, appearing in the fossil record. Second, Homo erectus demonstrates a morphological consistency throughout its 2 million year history. The fossil record does not show erectus evolving from something else or evolving into something else. It's a little difficult. Third, anatomically, modern Homo sapiens, Neanderthal, archaic Homo sapiens, and Homo erectus all lived as contemporaries at one time or another. None of them evolved from a more robust to a more gracile condition. In fact, in some cases, Neanderthal and archaic Homo sapiens, the more robust fossils, are the more recent fossils in their respective categories. Fourth, all of the fossils ascribed to the Homo habilis category are contemporary with Homo erectus. Thus, Homo habilis not only did not evolve into Homo erectus, it could not have evolved into Homo erectus at all. Fifth, there are no fossils of Australopithecus or any other primate stock in the proper time period to serve as evolutionary ancestors to humans. Contemporaries. As far as we can tell from the fossil record, when humans first appear in the fossil record, they are already human. It is this abrupt appearance of our ancestors in morphologically human form that makes the human fossil record compatible with the concept of special creation. This fact is evident even when the fossils are arranged according to the evolutionist dates for the fossils. The results do not support human evolution. The results, in fact, are so contradictory to human evolution that they effectively falsify the theory. This, then, is the big picture. Now, the local picture. There is a second approach to the human fossil record. We could call it the local picture. It involves situations where different types of fossils are found at the same place geographically and at the same level stratigraphically. That means the same time, according to evolutionists. According to their morphology, they should be placed in two different evolutionary categories. Since this approach is totally independent of the dating methods, it acts as a control. It confirms what we said previously about the lack of evidence for evolution in the human fossil record. If two different types of fossil humans are found at the same place and at the same level, it falsifies human evolution. The date of the geologic stratum in which they are found does not matter. The date is irrelevant, and method is timed independent. A chart in this chapter shows the specific cases where fossils belonging in two different evolutionary taxa are found in the same place and at the same level. Although the chronological arrangement on this chart is unnecessary, it is done to show that local contemporaneousness exists throughout the entire alleged history of human evolution. It is independent confirmation of all that we have said thus far. Now, microbiology is irreducibly complex and demands an intelligent creator, a whole new subject of great consequence and importance. We'll speak of this next time.